Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Women in Business Committee. I do want to welcome everybody to turn on their cameras if they are comfortable. We would love to see your beautiful shining faces this morning. So we are going to wait just a minute to let everybody get logged in and get connected to audio. And if, again, you would like, please turn on your cameras. And we are going to go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining us. This is the Women in Business Committee. My name is Kirby Davis, and I am the Membership Services Associate for the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches. And today we have Veronica Cooper, Vice President of Cooper Construction Management and Consulting, who has over 20 years of experience in the construction industry. In our current position, Veronica establishes the strategic direction for the firm, including strategic relationships and alliances, corporate culture and branding, as well as a new business and market development. I do want to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded, so if you would please stay muted until asked otherwise. We do want this to be a little bit interactive, so if you would make sure you have your chats pulled up. We have some short videos that we're going to ask you some questions on. It's going to be super fun and no pressure. Again, very friendly group. But with that being said, Veronica, I'm going to hand it over to you and get started.
Well, thank you so much, Kirby, and good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. As mentioned, my name is Veronica Cooper, and I appreciate the opportunity to spend time with you this morning, sharing some of our strategies as we first started out in business and that we continue to use today. If your schedule has been anything like mine over the past few months, then you've attended a lot of virtual meetings, so much so that we've all become multitaskers, maybe masters in multitasking while we're virtually meeting together, but try not to multitask too much this morning. We're going to ask you to join in and participate a little bit in some of the few fun logos that we have coming up in a few minutes to keep you all engaged. So again, a little bit about Cooper Construction. We are a construction management and general contracting firm headquartered right here in Palm Beach County. We've been in business for 12 years full-time, 26 years CMAR, which is Construction Management at Risk experience, and we are a small business certified firm. One thing that I note with a small business is that Palm Beach County has numerous large general contracting and construction management firms. And with us being a small fish in a large sea, although we have had some growth over the years, we are nowhere near the size of some of these other larger, more sophisticated firms. And so one tool that we use to assist us in our growth plans, which can help you in perhaps your growth plans, is branding. It's something that's unique to your company that sets you apart from your competition. And branding can be a symbol or a sound, which you'll see shortly. So very briefly, this is some of the projects that we are involved with here in Palm Beach County. Two on the left and the right at the top, we teamed on those with other larger firms. And so as I mentioned, I previously had in the slide an example of some of the very large projects that are occurring here in Palm Beach County that you're all familiar with if you drive down any main street. And it's like, how do we then compete with some of those larger firms with our limited resources? Again, branding. Branding is an identifying symbol. It's a mark, a logo, or a name. It could be a word or a sentence that you use, companies use to distinguish yourselves from your competition, your product or your services. And so in branding, there's brand recognition, and then there's brand awareness. For brand recognition, it's your customer's ability to identify your brand using your visual symbols, your messaging, or your products. And I do source this right down here on the left-hand side. And so We're going to talk a little bit about branding sounds. Kirby, this will be a great opportunity for you to pop in and share some of those branding sounds that you all are probably very familiar with, but don't perhaps think twice about.
Do you want me to play
You
all of them?
recognize that? Obviously, that's Intel because you can see your screen. But if you didn't see it, you might automatically know that that's Intel. It's a sound that perhaps you hear every day when you're loading up your computer. You hear it on commercials all the time, and you might not think twice about it, but Intel has very much dominated that sound, and it's unique. It's something that we automatically identify as Intel. If you could play a couple more, Kirby. No. Now, I personally did not know anything about THX. I've heard that sound probably a million times. It reminds me of the sounds at the movies that you might hear, especially with the old MGM, the old lion roaring at the beginning of a movie. Those are all branding sounds that are unique to those firms. Maybe one more, Kirby, if you could. McDonald's. You don't have to see the arch. You don't have to know perhaps that we're looking at McDonald's, but that's a sound that you might even hum to yourself occasionally if you're going to McDonald's or in the line, because they've done such a great job of identifying that sound with their brand. So I'll go back to sharing my screen. Thank you, Kirby. So in addition to sounds, branding is also, of course, symbols. And here are just a few symbols that you may recognize without, and if we picked logos that don't have any names associated with them. Of course, one of the most popular ones that I automatically thought of was Amazon. But of course, Amazon has its name right in its brand. But the Facebook logo, we know that without seeing the words. Target or Target, as some of you may famously call it. Monster energy drink up there on the right-hand side. Twitter. We have the Starbucks logo. Kirby, I added this one here for you based on our conversation yesterday, which is Baptist Health, the pineapple. And then the 4 circles for the Audi logo. So these are all well recognized branding tools with the company's logo that these companies have been using for however long that we're all recognizing as associated with the firm. So as we go about our day-to-day strategies for your company in branding, what are these firms doing with their company logos or their company sounds that allow the consumer to immediately identify that firm that you could consider your brand, your logo, maybe even coming up with a branding sound that your customers would automatically recognize as your product or your service. As we go about our day-to-day business operations, are you aware of the use of your brand? Are you aware of the use of your logo? Is it placed prominently or frequently so that your customer, without having had a conversation with you, if they came across your logo, would they automatically think of you? And what would they think of you? So here are some of the brand sounds and their associated logos that we just discussed. According to Forbes magazine, I think this was 2019, the #1 branded logo nationally is McDonald's. And then #2 is Disney. And so onwards to maybe #10, which is Amazon. I think if we were looking at 2021, that maybe there'd be some reshuffling of the order of these logos. But these firms have done such a tremendous job for however long they've been in business that a consumer automatically recognizes their firm and has an associated emotion or feeling or understanding of what that firm's product is. Brand awareness is a customer's knowledge about brand factors, including your firm's or the firm's reputation, their company culture, the values that they promote, quality of their product or service, features and specifications. If I go back again to perhaps McDonald's, what awareness do you have of their brand? Do you say, oh, McDonald's is? That is your brand awareness. When you can say to yourself, brand awareness, McDonald's is X, Amazon is Y. That is your awareness as a consumer about that firm. Brand awareness should be, as a consumer, associated with what the firm is trying to have you feel, what reputation they would like you to know about their firm. What culture or value do you think of when you think of that brand? If it's in line with what the brand is trying to promote to you, then they've done a successful job. However, if for some reason there is a misalignment, then there's more work to be done perhaps for that firm, or maybe even a rebranding to be more in line with what the consumer thinks of their product or service. Using today and relevancy for brand awareness. This is not anything about politics or the use of the vaccine or anything along those lines, but this is another example of brand awareness. COVID-19 vaccine has only been around for less than a year, but consumers have already developed perhaps a feeling or an emotion or an awareness about each of the brands. Do you want the Moderna brand? Do you want AstraZeneca for whatever reason, or the Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson? Are these the brands that you would use if you're taking the vaccine? Or would you not take the vaccine? That's a whole nother topic. But you already may have developed an awareness about each brand, and they've only been on the market for a very short period of time. And so what are these firms doing to promote their brand to us as a consumer that is in line with what they're trying to promote? Obviously, a safe vaccine that's effective. So if we go back to the basics of marketing, your marketing mix and the 4 Ps of marketing, back at least when I went to school, and I do have a degree in marketing, we were taught the 4 Ps, which is product, price, promotion, and place. For product, there are numerous factors that determine which products that your firm, being it a good or a service, that businesses are willing to sell and that consumers are willing to purchase. Some products may have a limited consumer base, and therefore there's limited demand, while others may have significant demand, but a limited life cycle. New technology can often abruptly shorten the perceived, and I use the word perceived, life cycle of a product, because what you think, you might think, okay, I have another 6 years of good consumer purchasing of this product, but technology comes along and turns that all around. So what often comes to mind for me, many moons ago, every Friday you would go down to the local store and you would rent your movie for the weekend. And then all of a sudden along came on-demand movies that you can rent without leaving your home, and there's no late fees. And so that's an idea, an example of when a product can be abruptly shifted through technology. Price is another of the 4 Ps. Simply put, price is whatever your customer is willing to pay for your product or service. The right price is dependent upon your competitor's price in part, and your indirect and direct costs. Also, your price can be dependent on the perception of your product's exclusivity or quality. So we all are accustomed to thinking that, you know, a high quality product would often cost more money. For promotion, a traditional method of promotion was perhaps by way of advertisement in the newspaper or TV commercials with public relations firms. But, and they also had the use of coupons that would oftentimes promote your product or service. But with the advent of social media, again, now more technology, the methodology may have changed, but the need for promotion still exists. How will you reach your customer, your target market? How will they learn of your product or service? Are you using Instagram or LinkedIn? Is that a viable option for your firm to promote your business? And then place. Where is your product or service available? Can it be downloaded on an app, perhaps like Uber? Is it available online through a firm such as Amazon, perhaps? COVID-19, again, if we go back to that, has really reshaped our view of where an appropriate place may be. A few years ago, having online meetings for your company or your product would have perhaps seemed unreasonable. But now with the COVID-19 situation and the availability of technology, we've seen a shift. And so is your firm adapting? Is it adaptable to where your product or service, the place where it's offered to the consumer? Is that a viable option for you to adapt? And how quickly can you adapt? Understanding the 4 Ps will assist your firm in developing your marketing strategies, which are your long-term blueprint of how you will obtain and maintain your firm's customer base. So how do you go about developing your marketing strategies? For us, it's more of an alignment of once you understand your product, your price, your promotion, and your place, understanding that it's fluid. It does not stay the same. The market doesn't stay the same. Consumers don't stay the same. Technology doesn't stay the same. So you have to be fluid and adaptable to the marketing conditions so that your marketing strategies remain effective, that they remain viable for your firm to stay in operation and in line with your growth strategies. This is an example. I just quickly Googled this, a great example of a marketing strategy where Bounty, you know, I remember back in the time when you're thinking of Bounty is wiping up spills in your home, but they brought their marketing strategy here to the streets of New York, where they had life-sized coffee cup here as an example with a pretend spill that Bounty can wipe up all your small and large spills. So it's meeting the consumer in an unexpected place. You're not expecting to see a coffee cup spilled and think, oh yeah, Bounty can clean that up. I don't know that you would use Bounty to clean it up, but they're reminding you that, hey, they can wipe up all of life's spills. Once you have your marketing strategy and you're aware of your 4 Ps and you have a plan in place, it's capitalizing on your firm's competitive advantage. Your competitive advantage is when your company can outperform your competition. And outperform can be a number of things. Can you do it faster? Can you do it better? Is it more quality? Your competitive advantage may not be what your competitor's competitive advantage is. So how do you then promote that to your targeted market and make them aware that your firm they have an advantage of using your product or service over your competitors. Once you have all of that in alignment, brand loyalty is perhaps the reward, if you will, for all of your efforts. When your consumer will use your product or service over your competitors with such a sense of loyalty that it matters what your competitors do, but it doesn't matter what your competitors do. For example, you'll note down here on my tile that it says J. Cooper. And that is because Veronica Cooper is brand loyal to Apple. I am an Apple person. I use a Mac computer. All my products are Apple, but everyone else here in the office uses Windows-based. I'm the only one that uses Apple. And so for today's presentation, I hopped onto one of our spare laptops on a Windows so that, everything was running smoothly with Kirby on the same platform. And but I will switch back to my Apple the moment we hang up. So for Apple, they know that they have a loyal customer, and a loyal customer shifts with their products. So as they bring new products online, they can count on that loyal customer to move with them, to be interested in what they're doing and to adapt to their new products and services. And that is the ultimate competitive advantage, knowing that your whole marketing strategy, your entire effort as a marketer is being rewarded through that continued customer. And so that is, in a nutshell, abbreviated our branding, some suggestions that hopefully you can employ in your business. And I know Kirby wants to turn it back over to answer, have a question and answer time. And so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Kirby. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. That was fantastic. I learned a lot, and it is eye-opening just to see even just the sounds or see the logos, and automatically your mind goes there. So like with McDonald's, I think of the clown, I think of the hamburgers, and my mind just starts racing. So that is just insane what triggers your mind to think those things. So yes, sorry, I got off on a little tangent. I do want to open this up for questions. So please feel free to turn on your microphones, ask questions, put it in the chat. You can direct them to me, or you can direct them directly to Veronica if you do not want to ask it publicly. So whatever you are comfortable with, I'm going to, Veronica, do you mind stopping your share screen so we can see everybody? All right. Are there any questions? All right.
I have a question. Some familiar faces.
Yes. Kelly, did you say you had a question?
I do. I have a question real quick. Can you talk a little bit about, and I don't know if you have any experience at this, what happens when your brand sort of goes awry? Sometimes you have a brand that you're pretty comfortable with, and then something happens in the universe that sort of affects the way people look at it. And how do you manage that? I don't know if you can speak to that at all. I wish I could think of a concrete example, but things happen in the world where this, like, for example, let me give you a very silly example. My mom's name is Karen, right? So, when this whole Karen thing started happening, people started talking about her name, and she was like, I don't get it. Why is my name all of a sudden this like weird thing? And I was like, oh my God, Karen, your name has been branded, you don't even know it. And I felt really bad for her. But I mean, so that's a very silly example, but sometimes your brand gets almost hijacked.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Or make some
Um,
suggestions.
you
My
know,
mom, Karen.
Kelly, it's such a relevant conversation. And coincidentally, I was having this exact conversation with one of my daughter's friends over the weekend. Her mother's name is Karen. I'm like, "Hey, what do you do? I mean, you have no control over that. I don't know why it's acceptable to be branding all Karens as a character trait. And I don't know if there's anything you can do on a personal, global level to rebut that, other than to continue to be who you were previously. And I think for larger firms, I think that would be crisis management. They would hire a public relations professional who has experience with that to kind of reshape the consumer's perspective. Oftentimes you'll see where they might have a spokesperson who does something that they have to disassociate themselves from, to immediately state that, that's the spokesperson, that's not the company's values, is not in line with who we are as a company and the culture that we want to promote. So if in the event that you happen to have a spokesperson, I'm always tickled when I see some of these larger firms using an animated object or a computer or something that's not a person, because they can control what that robot does, or what that, little, is it Progressive that has that little man? They can control that. They can't control a person per se. And so in that, it would be you just really taking an observation, maybe a focus group, and seeing what are people thinking about us? How are we perceived based on an incident or a product? It could be something as grand as, a failure in something with a product or some kind of marketing. And how do you then, you have to gauge the audience's view, and then kind of figure out a strategy that rebuts that reshapes and redirects the consumer's view back in line with what you want to promote and be known for your company.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
All right. Any other questions? Please do not be shy.
I have a question.
Okay.
Hi, Veronica.
Hi, good morning.
So I come from the hotel world. So I've worked with like Marriott's and Hilton's. And I know with Hilton, I think it was the Westin brand or Sheraton, or maybe, I don't know. But they had like a distinct smell for each kind of different property. So you being a construction manager, right? Are there things like you recommend to construction? Because I see you do schools or all different kind of things, but is there something you recommend to, I don't know who it would be, architects, to make it like, oh, I know this is a such and such building. Like, are there things you recommend them to do to be memorable?
So I think that would come from corporate more so than from the construction manager. And I think an example of that would be Aloft hotels. When you go to Aloft hotels, and I'm just using that as an example, that they're going to be fun. They're going to be kind of in an urban but up and coming neighborhood. You can bring your pet. They have nice little cafes downstairs. So they've kind of branded themselves, in my view, as kind of a hip and up and coming type hotel, but has a high quality at the same time. Whereas perhaps a Ritz, there's a doorman, there's going to be things there that is going to cater to a more exclusive and upscale environment. So I think for the hotels, they should be in line with whatever you're trying to promote for your chain of hotels. And as a construction manager, we're just there to implement whatever the owner or the architect has come up with.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think Cathy, you would know as well. Cathy over there at Clearspan, also in construction. Good morning.
Yep, there I am. Hi, good morning. Yes, I totally agree with that. It kind of, yeah, you have the designers and the owners reps and all those involved most of the time, long before the construction professionals get involved.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think another example of that smell would be, is it Abercrombie, walking by that you're going to smell the store. You don't even have to see where it is. You can tell that you're approaching an Abercrombie before you actually see where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So they've kind of branded their smell in the mall?
Yeah.
Yes, great questions. Any more?
I do have a, well, not necessarily a question, but comment. So I work for a smaller firm now, smaller contracting construction management firm versus the large one, where I like to listen to what you had to say today, because being a one-man band in marketing here, I don't have a lot of folks to sort of talk things through with. So I did appreciate a lot of your insights, especially on the brand awareness and the technology changes. I mean, I find myself rethinking and trying to come up with new approaches, especially in this last year, since, on the marketing and business development side, we've lost that face-to-face piece, which is big in our construction world. So I definitely appreciated a lot of your comments on, everything, the promotion, and especially that technology piece is kind of a little bit of a validation and a little bit of different ways to think about it. So thank you for all that.
Of course, thank you. And
Well,
us, technology is huge. We have a consultant who's now working with us who came from a much larger firm, and she's like, wow, you guys really stay on top of your technology. And it's not because we want to spend the money, trust me. It's because it keeps you, it forces you to remain relevant, if you will, and not get behind what the current trend is. It's so easy to do and to get used to using what you have because it works. But it also positions you to be more adaptable when you need to be. And I'll give you the example of COVID again. When it first happened and it became apparent that we might have a shutdown and we'd have to work from home, for us, it was very simple because everybody was on a laptop. Nobody was on a desktop. And so it's like, okay, well, you just pick up and go home type of thing. And for other firms, having to, try to get the software, to get a server, to, you couldn't find a laptop if you tried, or printers, because everybody was trying to get set up in their offices. But for us, it was very easy to just, and in part, it's because also not just because we had foresight. Of course, that was not the case. We just were fortunate because we work out in the field a lot. And so it just made sense for everybody to have a laptop versus being chained to their desk and having to come to the office. So we got in that regard.
all right. Any other questions? We have such good ones.
Hi.
Debbie.
I wanted to know what you think about affiliating brand recognition with your own logo when you're trying to get your own brand recognition out. And my example is that I own an accounting firm, and I'm a woman-owned business with the WNC. So I have found their logo to be highly recognizable. I buy the tulips in Publix, and anything that I now see with the logo, I tend to go for. So I've attached it to my email address, and I've attached it to my LinkedIn. But what are your thoughts about kind of joining with more recognizable logos when you're trying to get your own logo recognized?
Sure, that is a great question, and it's something that we've experienced as well. So we have worked with a number of larger firms, and associating yourself with your partner in that regard, working alongside another larger reputable firm has its advantages, because it shows, okay, if this firm that's such a high quality firm wants to work with your firm, being a smaller firm, then perhaps you're also a high quality firm as well. And so it kind of rubs off, if you will, through association. Attaching our name to a brand such as, we're also small business, we're also minority business, we've been very strategic in looking forward versus looking where we are. And so while it's great that we have these certifications, and we certainly appreciate having these certifications, and we're not shy from sharing the fact that we have those certifications, we don't promote it so much, so at least in our instance, because we want to be a large firm. And so we don't want to always be considered as a small firm, because once we've branded ourselves, if you will, as a small firm, how do we unbrand ourselves as a small firm? And so it has its advantages, which you saw that I shared that up front, that we're a small business.
Mhm.
Put it on our corporate branding. Because once that consumer or that developer wants to use or work with Cooper Construction, they're already going to have it in their mind. Oh, you guys are small. So we try to look forward to where we're trying to go versus where we are, perhaps.
Thank you.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I have a question. So is there anything specific when somebody's trying to brand themselves that they should take into consideration? Because, you know, things change every single day. How do we know that in a year that brand is still going to be relevant? Is there something that they can do?
I don't know that there is, Kirby. I think when you are looking, if you have a logo or you're trying to refine it or develop one, we just try to be more mainstream, if you will. You know, a lot of people have personal values that they're going to attach themselves to, and they don't necessarily care how the market is going to change. That has perhaps been a detriment to them. I don't know that it has. You know, maybe they're comfortable with where they are, and you know, they're not worried perhaps about sales. They want to stay true to their core, and so their brand reflects that. And so I would just say, make it as mainstream as you can, so that you're not offending or pigeonholing yourself to one niche market. Because as you try to maneuver, you want to have that flexibility.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? Thank you for all of those wonderful answers and questions so far. Anything else? I do want to do some self-introductions, and I want us to be able to go on with our day. But I just want to make sure. Going once. All right, we're going to move on to some self-introductions. Joan, I'm going to start with you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joan Quittner with Legal Shield and ID Shield. It was a very, very interesting talk today, and I appreciate it. Made me think about a lot of things, and when you see it, you know, all of a sudden, like the McDonald's song, you know right away it's McDonald's. I never would have thought of that, you know.
Yes.
It's very, very interesting. We offer affordable access to the legal system for all of your personal needs and business needs. And especially with COVID, the results with COVID have been, people need to have their house in order. They need to have their will done. They need to protect their business that they worked hard for, and they need to protect their family. You do not want that onus falling on the family if, God forbid, something happens to you via COVID. So that's very important. Also, ticket defense for those of you that have kids that are starting to drive. That's a real nightmare. And for the small business, unlimited phone calls for your business, debt collection letters written, contract review, a lot of things that, and I'm not saying get rid of an attorney. It's important that you have 24/7 access to a law firm, and not just one firm, but a network of law firms throughout the country. I'm an ambassador with the chamber, and I'm glad to see that everybody is participating. It's a great chamber. And I thank you again for that wonderful presentation. It's Joan Quittner, Legal Shield and ID Shield. Do not forget identity theft.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Puppy online, for God's sake. It's not even that person's puppy, okay?
Oh.
Be very careful about the puppy scam.
Oh, gosh. They would get me with that one. I love puppies.
Don't buy it online.
All right, Judy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Judy Dunn, Director of Business Services with CareerSource Palm Beach County. And again, loved your presentation.
Thank you.
Definitely thought about some of the logos or sounds that I associate with different businesses. So, you know, we're really looking at all the changes that are going on. And we're very fortunate to have a wonderful communications department that does our logos and everything. Very, very progressive, very informative. So thank you for your presentation and keep up the good work.
Thank you. And Career Source is also very visible. So you do see your logo out there quite a bit, and you know right away, at least for me, what it represents. So thanks for the service that you guys do here in Palm Beach County.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Cathy.
I'm Cathy Glass. I'm the Director of Marketing and Client Services here at Clearspan Structures. And we are somewhat similar in a way to Cooper, where we do design, build, construction management, and general contracting services. However, our niche market and the biggest part of what we do is pre-engineered steel construction. So when you think of pre-engineered steel, our most iconic local project is the Coral Sky Amphitheater, where you have a 265 clear span opening. So that's how you get all those seats in there without columns. So we do things like that, boat storage facilities. We've worked on every golf course around with the maintenance facilities and golf cart barns and that sort of thing. So that's our niche market. So we actually would sub to a firm like Veronica's firm on a project like that. So a lot of different ways we fit in to the landscape and construction. And we went through a major rebrand here in 2017. So, and that was Clearspan was trying to differentiate themselves from where they came from a couple of years before. So we went through a complete rebrand and been promoting and getting that out there over the past several years. And it's, it takes a while to get some traction, and I think we're hitting the road and running now, but it's been great to be part of the chamber over those years as well. So thanks for your presentation today. It was definitely insightful.
Well, thank you, Cathy. And your company name definitely brands you as well. Clearspan Structures. You know right off the bat what it is, a service that you're providing, and you guys do a great job with that as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Sharon.
Hey everyone, I'm Sharon Hoffman with Sunfest. The presentation was great. I really, really enjoyed it. And we actually went through a pretty significant branding refresh in 2020, right before we canceled. And we were getting to start to introduce everything, and then things kind of came to a stop. So we're excited to be able to kind of start getting that new look out there and, kind of working with it. And it was a rebrand, and it was a lot of a refresh just because we've been around for 37 years. So it was time to kind of give things a fresher, younger, a little more hip look. And so it was different because we got all excited that we finally got everything done, and then things kind of came to a stop. So we've been starting to get all the, the stuff out. And for 2022, hopefully people will notice the new look and be so excited that we can do stuff, and and Sunfest can come back. So anyway, so thank you. It was very interesting.
We're looking forward to those outdoor concerts again.
We are waiting to do it.
Can we have a quick question? So when you did your rebranding, was it a refresher on the logo, or was it a refresher on the message?
Both. So many years ago, we used to change our logo literally every year, and it would change with the brand, the refresh, and the vision of the plan for that year. And then about 10 years ago, we stopped and we kind of kept the same logo. So we got to a point where we were like, okay, we've used this logo, and not as much the logo for the longest time, but just the message was the same. And we just needed to do a total change around. But our message of being an outdoor festival, the waterfront, we didn't want to lose that. So the new message was Sunfest State of Mind, because Sunfest can be a lot of things to a lot of different people, and it can be really kind of crazy crowds. It can be laid back on the water. So we kind of stuck with that. And I'm really excited about that. I think that especially going forward in the time we are, it will kind of resonate with everybody. So
I found it interesting. You just said that your old message was, outdoor concerts, and that's exactly what I said. So I guess I was getting your branding message.
Yeah, well, it was like, you know, the out on the waterfront. It was just so, but we had a lot of history with that where it's important. So it was kind of important to refresh it, but not away the old, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So Sunfest State of Mind.
Sunfest State of Mind.
Okay.
I like it.
Very good.
And it's actually out there on the website now. The you know, a lot of the new graphics are there, so we're excited.
Well, we'll have to go take a look at that. And I do want to encourage everybody. I do see Joan put her contact information in the chat. Y'all are more than welcome to do that as well. Debbie, I'm going to go to you.
Hi, my name is Debbie Nyer. I own DLG Accounting and Advisory Services. We are a full service accounting firm, and we do specialize in nonprofit accounting and forensic accounting. We moved from New Jersey 2 years ago, and at that time established a rebranding and more intense marketing scheme, and joined the chamber, which has been, by the way, very helpful to us and helping, you know, get our name out there and our logo through sponsorships and what have you. And thank you for your wonderful presentation. And I enjoy the women in business sector of the chamber. So,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to get outside for those concerts.
Will be good. Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to get back in person to anything right now. So, so I'm going to go to Laurel now. And I know I say it wrong every single time. I will get it right one of these days.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm L'Oreal. I am the community manager at Esuites. We're a co-working space in West Palm Beach. We basically cater to small businesses who need office space, but not like large space. So we rent out private offices. We rent out dedicated desks for, you know, your professional who just needs somewhere to work for 2 to 3 hours a day, connect to Wi-Fi and doesn't want to work from home anymore. We do have meeting rooms in our space as well that you can rent by the hour. If you're a member with us, membership is only $105 for the year. Our spaces are gorgeous. So that's what I do here. We opened up last February and then COVID happened. So people weren't really coming to our space at all because we were quarantined. So we kind of jumped back on the revamp probably this February. So definitely working on getting our name out there, partnering with other co-working spaces that don't have chains who maybe could, you know, like pass the, like if they can't accommodate someone, send them to us. And if we can, then we'll send them to them, doing that whole partnership thing. So definitely learning about the branding and having a slogan and all that thing definitely helps me because I'm responsible for marketing as well. So thank you very much for the information. And I love to see a woman in construction management. I got my master's in development, and it was me and one other woman in my whole master's class.
Wow.
Through the whole 2 years. And I was like, where are we? So love to see.
Well, there are a lot more in many facets now. So yes.
Yeah. It's great. Thank you very much.
For us. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Simone.
Hello, I am Dr. Simone with Health Max Center. Thank you so much for the presentation. Any marketing help is much appreciated. As a chiropractor, that was not my niche. We focus on getting affordable chiropractic care to everybody who needs it or wants it. And we look at the whole body versus just one aspect of somebody. So we really want to help people get healthier.
So I would say, and this is just, you know, you just maybe stated your differentiator, that it's the whole body, not just one aspect. Because at least when I think of chiropractor, I'm thinking, you know, more of the back and the spine. And I don't know, maybe the other colleagues here on the line think the same. So I would try to maybe promote that as, you know, your differentiator in your business.
Thank you. That's well, we're trying.
Well, thank you for joining. And I'm not sure who this is, but TG, are you able to unmute? We'll give them a few seconds to see if they can unmute themselves. While we're waiting for them, I'm going to ask Kelly.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. Great topic. I love this topic. And I love every once in a while, you know, with people that have brains like ours, all of us on this call, you know, you get in this topic of what's the difference between marketing and branding. A lot of people really don't understand that there is a very big difference. And I have to say, you did a great job of really expressing that, because it is so much bigger. It is the sounds and the smells and all those things. Marketing is totally different. And every time I get involved in this and somebody's like, well, I don't really get it, I say, this is my best example of branding that I've ever had. And it's Kleenex. You know, a Kleenex is a tissue.
Yes.
Kleenex is a company, but they have branded themselves so well. And it's amazing that when you say the word Kleenex, that's what you think of. And it's astonishing. So thank you for your presentation. It really was very well done. And I know everybody on the call appreciated it too.
I know I did, so thank you so much.
And thank the Chamber in helping us all grow our businesses and get our message out and help with our own branding. You guys provide such a great service here, and you guys do such a great job on your own with your own branding. You know, as soon as you see the logo, you know right off the bat that it's the Chamber, and helping us all grow our businesses here in Palm Beach County and networking. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Before I let everybody go, I do want to say that we are having our next Women in Business meeting on May 13th. Please look very closely at the locations for these upcoming events. We are trying to start putting some stuff in person on the calendar. So please make sure that you're not trying to log into a Zoom when we're actually hosting it in person. So please keep an eye out for that. Take a look at our community calendar. We have so many events coming up. We also have a speed networking coming up next week, a week from today on April 15th from 12 to 1 p.m. I would love to see everybody there. Those are a lot of fun. It's kind of like speed dating, but speed networking with your business. So with that being said, I'm going to let everybody go. Thank you so much, Veronica, for joining us today and doing a wonderful presentation for us. And thank you, everybody, for showing up and participating. I love it. Go have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you in person soon. Can't wait. Thank you so much, Veronica. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Did a
Thank you for the
wonderful job.
invitation. Thank you.
It was great. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. I look forward to getting Sunfest.
Yes.
Yes. Me too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.